Happening now in San Jose, people are lining up to see what will likely be the last show at the historic Dome Theater on Winchester Boulevard. These are live pictures now of what's happening. The lease is up for the Century 21 complex, and some preservationists are hoping that the Dome Theater will be granted landmark status by the city. It was built almost 50 years ago, but a demolition permit is pending. Tonight's last movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that you see all of the people lined up there to see, well, it starts at 7, and we're told it is sold out.
Great place to see a flick. And looking live now toward the Golden Gate Bridge. That looks like the north tower of the bridge. This is from our camera in San Francisco. You can see it's still clear out there on the bay. Actually,
you know, we're going to look live in San Jose to a line not unlike the line that me, my mother, my dad, my grandmother, my sisters stood in when The Sound of Music came out, and Century 21 Theater was the big deal in San Jose. A stunning theater, the likes of which may never be seen down in the South Bay again. On Winchester Boulevard, just across from Santana Row, have been a favorite for filmgoers for the 140 years since it's hasn't been that long, but it's been decades. Tonight marks the theater's grand finale.
Yeah, the domes are on track to be demolished, the land redeveloped, and our John Raymond spoke to longtime moviegoers from near and far who just had to be there for the final screening.
When San Jose's Century 21 Dome opened in 1964, it became the go-to theater for summertime movie fans.
I mean, I remember as a teenager the lines that would go all the way out the length of the parking lot. The domes were a big deal. It was a single place that you could go to see 4 to 6 different films, all within walking distance.
But Century 21 and its 2 companion theaters are sitting on land that is to be developed into luxury homes and stores, just like Santana Row across the street. So this is the last day movies will be shown here.
Yeah, it's sad to see it go. It's kind of sad to see the neighborhood kind of being completely inundated by more development.
Misty-eyed parents brought their kids to the 1 o'clock showing of Finding Nemo, and a group of diehards began waiting in line to see this evening's goodbye showing of Raiders of the Lost Ark. With its 125-foot screen and nearly 1,000 seats, the Dome was a perfect place to watch big action movies. John Scoleri was here on opening night 33 years ago when Indiana Jones first made his appearance.
The reason we came opening night was also the crowd, because seeing a movie is a communal experience. And when you go and the crowd's excited and the crowd's energetic, the movie doesn't always have to deliver 100% because the crowd can make a big difference.
John Parker flew in from his home in Austin, Texas, just to be here on the final night. He worked here as a young man and feels those who see this place as outdated are being short-sighted.
If this was still standing in 50 years' time, there would be no question that it would be a monument for San Jose. But it'd have to make it that extra 50 years, and I don't think it's going to do it.
But just as movies have a limited run, so do movie theaters. And as the curtain comes down on the Century Domes, it's clear even to those who love them that there will be no sequels. In San Jose, John Ramos, KPIX 5.
There has been a push to get the theaters recognized as historic structures, but city leaders have said the theaters are obsolete and are backing the redevelopment plans.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
News, a beloved movie theater is closing in San Jose. The iconic Century Retro Dome theaters are screening their last film this evening. KRON 4's John Fenolio explains why the theater is closing and how a number of fans are trying to preserve it.
You know, looking at the marquee out there with the thank you to the fans, it brings a little tear to your eye.
Scott DiBartolo is just one of the dozens of people who showed up early to wait with friends before one final showtime.
Nothing like coming to the Century Theaters and seeing the latest blockbuster with 900 of your closest friends and cheering and applause, and on opening night there's just nothing like it.
After 50 years, the property owners are not renewing the theater's lease, and loyal theater fans are hoping that it will be saved and incorporated into whatever new development is built.
If we don't step in and save it now, it will be gone.
John Parker flew all the way from Austin, Texas to be here on closing night. He's also petitioning to have the dome designated as a historic landmark and hopes that it won't be demolished.
It's wasteful to throw away something rather than repurposing it.
In In an era of multiplex theaters with more seating and bigger screens, the Century Domes face tough competition. However, those who want to preserve it say the space could be used for more than showing films.
Couldn't there be a compromise? Couldn't one of the buildings be saved and be allowed to continue to operate as an amazing performing arts center? We have people right here in our own valley who are ready and willing to make it a wonderful location. You've got our company, the Retro Dome, Comedy Sports, the Chamber Orchestra, San Jose Dance. They all need a location to run regular programming.
As for the final show, the theater is screening Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it is sold out. Reporting in San Jose, John Fenolio, KRON 4 News.
Tomorrow, California.
Final curtain call for a Bay Area landmark. The Dome Theater in San Jose showed its last movie tonight to a sold-out crowd there. A development project led to the closure of the theater. And while there are efforts to get the building city landmark status, tonight the screen there faded to black. KTVU's Patty Lee was there for the final send-off, where fans, Patty, vow not to give up just yet on saving that structure.
Well, that's right. And just to give you a sense of just how much this theater means to some folks, right after the movie ended, a couple got married under the dome because they knew this was their last chance, because after tonight, these lights are going off for good. On the night of its closing, the last single-screen domed theater in San Jose saw its biggest crowd in years.
I am Toad, the Gestapo agent from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Ticket holders lined up hours ahead of the showing of Raiders of the Lost Ark to get good seats in the 953-seat theater in the Century 21 Dome.
We didn't know it would be this big of a crowd coming in.
For many, nostalgia drove the decision to show up tonight.
I grew up coming to this theater, and we saw all the big movies, all E.T., Star Wars, Jurassic Park.
This was the place to come. So 50 years, and this is the last night. It's really kind of sad.
The Pleasant Hill Dome, demolished. Century 25, demolished. 24, demolished.
The now former manager at Century 21 still hopes to save the theater from being demolished, even though the land lease is now in the hands of a development company.
They are planning with the city to create an urban village. So, there could be condos, there could be stores, it could be more of an extension of Santana Row.
But in the spirit of Indiana Jones, fans of the domed theaters aren't giving up on the possibility of preserving this local treasure.
All of our childhood theaters that we camped out for Star Wars or for the Raiders of the Lost Ark saga have all torn down. It's like Indiana Jones. He wants us to save historical artifacts, and this theater is a historical artifact.
Even if this movie house gets landmark status, it doesn't necessarily protect it from demolition. But there is a petition circulating now on change.org with about 7,000 signatures. And so far, preservationists do believe that they will be able to outrun the wrecking ball. Reporting live in San Jose, Patty Lee, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
East Bay Fire.
And after nearly a half-century in business, one of San Jose's most beloved movie theaters is now closed. A huge crowd waited in line outside the Century Domes on Winchester Boulevard today. Some people paused to take one last photo. Others held out hope for a ticket. And then there was this guy who went all out for the final screening of Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's like Indiana Jones. He wants us to save historical artifacts, and this theater is a historical artifact.
Yeah, it's sad to see it go. It's kind of sad to see the neighborhood kind of being completely inundated by more development.
The Century 21 Dome first opened in 1964 and quickly became a go-to theater for movie fans. It featured a 125-foot screen and nearly 1,000 seats. The dome-shaped theater and its two companions are sitting on land that's set to be developed into luxury homes and stores.
And that's progress. I remember seeing with my grandmother, my mother, my dad, my sisters, The Sound of Music there. Back when that came out, it's sad to see that go.
Final showing, Kit?
Yeah, as word got out that the last showing was nearing, something happened here that we haven't seen in quite some time. People lining up, wrapped around the building. People started showing up in the early afternoons, waiting for hours for the 7 p.m. final showing at Century 21. The family that owns the theater did not renew the lease with Syufy, the theater operator, and so the domes have now closed nearly 50 years to the day they opened. When they debuted in 1964, they were the place to watch a movie in the South Bay, featuring a 125-foot screen and 1,000 seats. But with multiplexes opening up everywhere, along with the invention of Netflix, property owners decided to lease the land to Federal Realty, who built Santana Row. And so, diehard fans came out for the last movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's like Indiana Jones. He wants us to stay with historical artifacts, and this theater is a historical artifact.
Yeah, it's sad to see it go. It's kind of sad to see the neighborhood kind of being completely inundated by more development.
The city of San Jose wants the domes gone to make way for a Santana Row-like development of shops, condos, and restaurants. However, there is a movement to save at least one dome, Century 21, which supporters say is historic and an icon of postmodern architecture. There is a meeting in late April where the state will decide whether or not to grant historic status to Century 21, and that just might help save the building. We're live in San Jose. Kit Doe, KPIX5.
Okay, Kit, thanks. We shall see. So far, though, several city leaders have said the theaters are just obsolete, and they are now backing plans for that redevelopment.
The operators